I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and today we're going to be taking a detailed look at the Bihn Cambiata, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's dive in. One of the first things that you're going to notice about this pack is how square it is. So we've kind of been joking that it looks like a cooler, but I think there are a few benefits to that. So what we have first is the piping on the sides of all around the pack here helps it stand up on its own, and so that makes loading it a lot easier. What's also nice is that personal item size. I did take this on a Delta flight and it fit underneath the seat in front of me, and because it is so square, it just kind of stayed in its own little area, and then I still had a little bit of extra foot space around me. But in general, on the outside here, it is fairly simple. You can give it just kind of a quick little turnaround. You can see on the back here, we've just got a simple carry handle, but other than that, the pack itself is fairly basic, but the biggest benefit of it is that it stays up and stands up on its own. The harness system on this is fairly simple as well. We just have two basic backpack straps here. You can see there's not a ton of padding. I did find them fairly comfortable. I thought that a lot of the uncomfortability that I had with this pack came with how it actually hung on me, which I will discuss shortly. But on the back here, we have the sliding sternum strap, which is removable if you don't want those. And these straps are also stowaway. So what you do is you unclip them down at the bottom here. And then there's this back little slip pocket that you can stick them in. So what I do is I fold them up kind of halfway almost, and then stick them in that way. And what this does is makes it so that these straps they're a little bit longer than the actual pocket is itself, so you do have to kind of strategically place them in there. I didn't find they were uncomfortable when they were stowed away. But what you do have here as an alternative option of carry is a little crossbody strap. So this actually attaches with gatekeeper clips to just these two top parts of the pack here. And then you can carry this in an additional way. And it just sort of acts like a little tote bag versus a backpack once those are stowed. And then one last little thing here is when you stow away the backpack straps, you can stow away the buckles right down at the bottom, and then you just have one nice little unit. So starting off with the tote carry here, you can see that I just have it in crossbody mode, and it does put a little bit of extra pressure on this shoulder here, so I found myself usually carrying it over one. The strap doesn't have any additional padding on it, so what I do is, you can grab this handle and use it as support when you're moving the bag around yourself, but it does hang fairly large to my side here, and so that's something that I really noticed, and I didn't find myself carrying it this way a ton. I usually just removed the straps and carried it as a backpack. So as I mentioned, these backpack straps are fairly thin, but they are pretty comfortable. What I did notice the most is where the bag actually falls on me. So you can see it's a little bit lower than my lower back, which means that it's really kind of jutting into me. I did find that I kind of wish it fell more about here so that I had a little bit of extra give. You can see that I am fully out of adjustment space, so even if I wanted to make this pack fall higher on my body, there's not an option. The sternum strap does kind of help pull things forward, but in general, you can still feel it back there. One of the things that I like most about this pack are the secondary compartments on the outside here. So we're going to kind of walk through them. First off, we'll start with this laptop compartment. So these are all YKK zippers around the pack. This one here is the only one with a little zipper pull. Bihn does have ones that they send that you could add to the rest of the pack, but I like this one. It's nice and grippy, it has a little plastic end. It's like kind of ergonomic almost. And so this unzips into the laptop compartment, which does have some padding in it. So you can see a little bit there where there's padding on this outside, and then as well as the inside that leads to the compartment. So in here, I'll take this out. This is my 13-inch MacBook Pro. And then as well in this compartment, we have a fair amount of space, and there is a bit of a false bottom. So you can't really see where my fingers are exactly, but they end about here and the pack ends there. So you do have some extra space to work with, and it does give you a little bit of drop protection when you do set your bag down. So then moving to the other sides of the pack, we have this front slip pocket, which I didn't find myself using a ton. I don't have a lot of items that I bring with me every day that are very thin. But if you do want to put something in here, I found to be a great spot for that tote strap from earlier with the different types of carry. And so that's really great because you can just stick it in there, you have it if you need it, but it's not really in the way otherwise, and then you still kind of use that compartment. Then on the other side here, we have two identical pockets. One of them here is just kind of a regular like empty dump pocket. I just put my wallet in there, but it is fairly roomy. I would say it's still best for flatter items, but they do have a decent amount of space in there. And then up here I have my phone, which I'll take out. And then there is a included key leash as well. And so this key leash is detachable if you want to utilize those O-rings, but otherwise it is fairly long. So I was able to unlock my door and everything while I still had the pack on me, just kind of swung over one shoulder. And then looking at the other side here, we have a water bottle pocket. So I have a 24 ounce in here right now, and there is a decent amount of space in here. And so what I like about this is that you can still have that sleek external look, but have quick access to your water bottle if you do want to store one in here. You can also put anything else in here, but it is a designated water bottle pocket. And then additionally, it has O-ring storage if you want to add on some additional Tom Bihn accessories or anything like that. It zips right up and has a little gusset to go in there. One last thing I do want to mention with the laptop compartment is that I do find that I can start to really feel my laptop when it's in here against my back. And so when I have it on, I can feel it dig into my lower back a little bit. It's nothing too crazy, but it also makes it harder for the backpack to curve around my back. And so it does impact carry comfort very slightly. Most of the time I find it's when this is entirely packed out and it's like stuffed to the brim, then it feels a little bit stiffer on my back. But just something to keep in mind if you do carry a laptop a lot and it is hanging a little bit lower, you might start to feel that a little bit more on your lower back. Next, into the main compartment, you have 21 liters of space to work with. So with this standing up on its own, makes it nice and easy to pack. It's got this sort of like kind of cornered, but still kind of rounded unzip or main compartment access here. I didn't have any issues getting around the corners. This was fairly easy to zip and unzip whenever I needed to get in. And then it opens up into this nice, easy packable bucket. So I will start off with this top little zippered pocket here. This is a mesh pocket that opens up, and this is what I use just for any kind of small gear that I didn't want floating around the main compartment. Nice, quick, and easy to get to if I wanted to just flip this top lid open. One thing to note is that the gear can get stuck up there, and since the pack, when you open it, it kind of falls back that way, you can kind of lose things in there. Kind of a small thing, but I like to, when I get access to the pocket, just flip it up so everything falls back down. And then going into the main compartment here, I just have like an extra layer and then a packing cube, a little dop kit, and then we have a couple of different pockets in here. So I'll take this out so you can see kind of fully what the compartment looks like when it's empty. But one thing is, I will say that I was able to take this, as I mentioned, on a plane, and I use this as my personal item, and I got everything that I needed for a weekend into here. So it is fairly spacious. What was nice is with the packing cube, it was nice and squared off shape. That was nice and easy to work with in terms of packing. And then with the dop kit there, just a little bit off to the side, you can see there's just a good amount of space to work with. So we've got O-rings on the side, kind of like that water bottle pocket, so you can attach additional Tom Bihn accessories if you want. We've got one over there, and then a kind of tandem one over here. In this back pocket here, this is where I used what I used to store my additional accessories for my laptop. You could also put notebooks or anything like that in there. I found this was another pocket that I didn't use a ton, similar to this outside one, just because it does require a lot of thin items if you are going to use it, but that elastic is fairly stretchy and gives you a little bit of room to work with. And then on the sides here, we have two additional like twin pockets. So this one down here is where I would put my laptop charger because I didn't need access to it as often. And then up top is just for my regular charger or my mouse or smaller items like that. I will say that when I had everything packed out and I wanted access to it when I was just relaxing in the airport, just kind of waiting for my flight, when all of my stuff was packed in my bag, what I wanted down here was really hard to get to. So I ended up needing to unload a couple of things. So definitely when you're packing, keep that in mind, just because when you are trying to kind of shove your hand down there, it's kind of hard to tell which pocket you're actually shoving your hand into, if it's gonna be this top one or the bottom one there. So you can be a little bit more strategic about where you're putting your gear. Another thing to keep in mind is with that water bottle pocket, like I mentioned, it can kind of cut into this main compartment space. And so if you have a lot of gear packed out in here, then it might be one of those, like I found to be the easiest to load my water bottle in first and then pack my bag around it, because then I knew there was dedicated space for it in that main compartment. Other than that, if I were to pack all of the main compartment first and then try and stick my water bottle in, it got a little bit difficult and I found myself kind of like shoving. But there is a fair amount of space in here, like I mentioned, and it's super easy. It stands up on its own. You can see even with stuff on the sides, with things, you know, hanging back like that, I have a decent amount of space and it is standing up on its own for me to just sort of dump things in there as I'm packing up, and then I am all ready to go. So there you have it, the Bihn Cambiata. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.